going on, guys? Hope your days have been dandy so far. And today I actually have my first ever cut column. Now, I was thinking about what I should make the cut column about, and I was thinking a good story would do. So, this story is about the worst teacher I've ever had. Now, I would generally say I've been pretty lucky with the teachers I've had in school. They've all been very nice people, except from this one teacher. Now, how would I describe this teacher? Pretty much to sum her up, she seemed like she hated teaching. She seemed like she hated kids and probably shouldn't have been in the job, really. She did not seem like a happy person at all. But I'm not about to give out her name to the entire internet, so let's just make up a fake name. Let's call her Mrs. McG. Okay. So what you need to know about Mrs. McG was she was fairly old. I'm not sure what age, but she was quite old when I had her. And I was quite young when I had her. I was only 10. And she was a very, very scary lady. She had this ginger hair that was quite short, but would always flow out behind her. And she was pretty tall as well. And she just looked really mean, honestly. Now that could be my 10-year-old imagination. But she suited her part, you know. So anyway, a little bit of background is basically this happened when I was 10 years old, like I said earlier. And she wasn't my permanent teacher. She was like a little substitute teacher that would come in, I believe, twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, 2 or 3 times a week, anyway. And she would do this thing called talking and listening. And it was basically like public speaking. It was to prepare us for, I don't know, for life, I guess, because it is an important skill to have. So what we would do is we would prepare little presentations that were no longer than like 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes as a max, at most. And we would present them in front of the entire class. And what was supposed to happen was she would give us constructive feedback and tips, you know, so maybe enunciate yourself better or pronounce your words more fluently, or just be louder, and she'd just give us tips like that. Instead, what she did was she would shout like an absolute ton at us. Like, it was completely over the top how much she shouted at us, and it was just completely unnecessary. And keep in mind, we weren't like cheeky teenagers or anything. No, we were 10-year-olds. 10-year-olds who are trying to do public speaking, which is pretty scary. You know, scary enough getting in front of an entire room of people, an entire audience, and presenting something without someone screaming at you. Basically, what she would do was, if she wanted us to improve on something in her speech, she would stop us by shouting at us. She would shout at the person who was up there and like shout, I don't know, talk louder or speak louder, that kind of thing. She wouldn't just stop us and give us a little pointer, but she would go and scream at us. And public speaking it's difficult enough, especially for little kids. Never mind someone screaming at you constantly to, I don't know, essentially just to be better. Well, naturally, I think a lot of people in my class cried. I want to say pretty much everyone in my class cried. I think I was the only one who didn't. And that's not me bragging or like pretending to be tough or anything. No, I'm just pointing that out. But the reason I didn't was because I wasn't really scared of her. I just kind of really disliked her. I don't want to say hated because that's a strong word, but I really disliked her. So I remember one time in particular when I was giving my speech, and she shouted at me. She like stopped me and shouted, and she was like, "Talk louder." And then I kind of gave her some attitude back. I did this like loud sigh. Yeah, I know I was pretty rude, but I did this like loud sigh. She was like, "Oh, what are you sighing about?" And I said, "You shouldn't interrupt me while I'm talking, because that's rude." And then she just went off. Like, she started like shouting. She was like, "You are being very rude to me," and just started screaming at me in front of the entire class. But yeah, I wasn't really that scared of her, to be honest. She just annoyed me, and I really didn't like her style at all. Now, you guys might be thinking, okay, that was pretty cheeky. You know, you deserve the shouting at. And in that instance, you would be right. But sometimes people would do nothing wrong, and she'd just get really angry at them. Like, I remember one time she kind of tripped over the carpet. There was a little bit of the carpet that was loose, and she tripped over it. And me and a few other people laughed. And then she said, like, "Oh, I could have died. Would you laugh at me dying? That's completely disrespectful." Which, I mean, of course not. You know, that was just completely blown out of context. We're just laughing at her stumbling a little bit. started constantly screaming at us. People would cry. I remember there was this one boy who was doing his speech, and then she was like screaming at him to talk louder, and then he just like started crying while he was up there, and I felt so bad for him. Everyone did. So yeah, she shouted at this boy, and he like started crying mid-speech, and then she blamed us. She blamed us for making her cry. She was like, "Oh, look at what you've done now. You know, you've made your classmate cry. You should apologise to him." And then he literally said, "Oh, it's not them, it's you. You know, you shouting at me, making me cry." And then she said, "No, you're like crying at me shouting because I have to shout at the class." So she pretty much pinned the blame on us, which was completely stupid and insane. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier, she wasn't actually our permanent teacher. Our permanent teacher was actually a lot nicer, and she would come in once Mrs. McGee had finished, like the public speaking course or class, whatever you want to call it. She would come in and she'd kind of notice that we were shaking up a little bit, you know, a lot of us were scared, and also she could hear her screaming because she would shriek like a banshee at us. And she'd kind of notice that we were all a little bit shaken up, you know, a little bit scared, so she'd ask us like, what does she say to you? Or like, what do you guys do that makes her shout? And then me and a few other people, I'm not gonna lie, we kind of snitched. We were like, she just shouts at us sometimes for no reason, or sometimes for like a really trivial thing, like she wants to speak louder. And we thought, wow, she's really scary. But I don't think anything was really done. You know, no complaints were really filed. I think a lot of kids spoke to their parents about her, but there wasn't really much anyone could actually do about her. But yeah, there wasn't really much anyone could actually do about her. So then she continued to teach for like another few months, and we just had to put up with it. We just had to deal with her. However, one day she didn't come in, and my teacher said, "Oh, Mrs. McGee will not be coming in today to do talking and listening with you," because that's what we called it, talking and listening. So, kind of puzzled but all pretty happy, we all looked at each other thinking, "Oh, what's that about?" And then from that day on, she did not come in. Like, she was never seen again. And to this day, I don't think anybody actually knows what happened to her. There were 3 rumours circulating about what happened to her. Rumour number 1, she was fired. Now, this rumour circulated amongst, I believe it was the year above me, because we weren't like seniors, it's called primary school here in the UK. We weren't seniors, we were like the second oldest year group. But there was a rumour that she broke a senior boy's glasses and swore at him, like in anger, like apparently she like ripped them off his face and just snapped them and then swore at him. The second rumour, apparently she won the lottery. This one I don't really believe, but the rumour basically goes that she won the lottery and became a millionaire, so she resigned from teaching, which I guess it would be a happy ending, but I don't really believe it. The third and final rumour, and this one's probably the most plausible if I'm being honest, she quit teaching and started her own dog walking like service, or a bit of business I guess you'd call it. But I haven't had any confirmation as to whether any of these rumours are actually true. I'm not sure if any of the teachers actually knew what happened to her either, or if they just weren't telling us at all. But yeah, that's pretty much my account of, well, by far, the worst teacher I've ever had. Yeah, she was one scary woman. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, then please feel free to toss a like my way, and maybe even consider subscribing. It's something you could do. And anyway, I will see you dudes on the other side. Peace out, people.